Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Cheap Seats podcast. I am back. I feel home. I feel like I'm back where I need to be at. I'm wire to wire Gene, but hanging with me tonight, we got somebody that's a little late. He's driving a little quick to get here. He'll be here shortly. We'll introduce him when he hops in. But hanging with me tonight, as always, is the Prince of Production, Sports Empire Network, Kyle Edwards. How you feeling, Kyle?
Doing good. We're another week closer to the NFL, and I just need to happen now. I can't wait anymore.
You know what's wild, bro? I'll be in Universal Studios for week 1. So I'm flying out to Florida Thursday morning for Halloween Horror Nights, and I will have I'll be watching Sunday football in Universal Studios and ESPN. They have like this huge ESPN bar with like 100 sports games on. So that's how I'll be spending week 1 of the NFL season.
It must be nice.
I can't bet, though. You can't bet in Florida. Florida's got they're very conservative. You're not allowed to bet. That's all right. Directly below me, I have somebody that's been on the show multiple times. If you don't know her, you need to follow her YouTube page, follow her Spotify. It's Jory Sports Stories. How you feeling, Jory?
I'm doing all right. Excited for football season, of course. Just can't wait.
Do you remember those commercials? Must be football season. Like, do you remember those? Am I the only one who remembers those commercials where they would throw the thing up to the front of the line of the counter, and the guy jumped and intercepted it and ran somebody over, and they're like, "Must be football season."
Yep.
I miss those commercials, man. Bring those back. I don't even know what they probably got rid of those commercials because I don't even know what the commercial was for. What was it for? Had to be for something. It wasn't an NFL commercial.
It really wasn't. It was for.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I don't know what it was for either.
Freddie's in the chat already. Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. What's happening? How you feeling? I'm trying to stall for my man Dylan Reed. My guy will be on shortly because we're going to knock out his question first. Hopefully he can come on fourth and just knock out his, and then we'll head right into question 2. But let's get into it. Kyle, read it out.
All right, so let me pull this up. So looking at where we are with the NFL, we are in preseason. We've heard about some camp battles and all that's going on. It's always that time of year. We got cut day coming up. So what are, I guess, preseason training camp battles that I guess are catching your attention throughout the first couple of weeks of preseason?
So here's a fair point, right? And I have a few that are across the league, but as far as me, I know Philadelphia. I've watched every preseason game. I can give you probably 100 of the 108 people that are on the roster because I followed each part of the depth chart. So one of the ones that stands out to me is what the Philadelphia Eagles just recently did. You guys have seen that the Philadelphia Eagles cut Greedy Williams, who was a signing supposedly to replace Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the offseason. They cut him. They just got rid of him. He was listed as their depth chart as their number 4 corner. So the question is, most teams keep 5 to 6 corners on a roster. I'm almost sure Philadelphia will keep 6. The camp battle that I'm looking at is undrafted free agent Eli Ricks out of LSU, transferred to Alabama. He was supposed to be a first, second-round pick. Then he got hurt. Keely Ringo, Josh Jobe as 3 of the last 4 people that make the – because we have 3 guys that are locked in, right? Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox. They're making the team. Then you have, Zach McPherson. You had Greedy Williams. They had a very loaded cornerback room. So my question that I would run into would be, what one of those battles corners do you think don't make the roster? Keely Ringo, the 4th rounder, Josh Jobe, who was impressive last year, and then you have Eli Ricks that the Eagles love. He had a pick 6 in his first game, interception is already. He had 3 tackles in his second game. He has been awesome. So that's one I look at for the Philadelphia Eagles. Nakobe Dean already won that middle linebacker competition that was supposed to be there with that strip sack fumble. And then add to that, right? He also got Miles Jack to retire.
I saw that.
I think Miles Jack was coming in thinking I might be able to start, and Nakobe Dean was just like, nah, bro, this is me. This is all me. So I like that. And then for my man Dylan Reed, who just joined the show, my guy, my favorite battle, and I wouldn't say it's a training camp battle because the job's already been won, but I really like Zach Charbonnet. He was my favorite running back coming out of the draft. I love him. I'm a huge fan of his. Him and Kenneth Walker could be the best thunder and lightning combination in the NFL. So I guess who gets more carries by week 6? Is it Kenneth Walker or is it Zach Charbonnet? They would be my few.
Okay.
Whoever wants to go next, y'all go.
All right.
So what topic are we on?
There you go,
Is
Jory.
it the preseason?
Yours, big dog.
Oh, the preseason one?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I mean,
Because
go ahead, Jory. If we're going to go down the line, we'll go down the line. Make it easy.
I got you. Because I kind of interpreted the question a different way. Because I'm like, from what I've seen, because I'm basing it off of what I saw from the preseason games. And then I did notice that for my Titan, because I'm a Titans fan, I'm going to pay attention to training camp. My secondary, there are some battles going on. And one name that really, it's either make it or break it this year is Caleb Farley, because he can't stay on the field to save his life. So whether it's injury prone or because his back is messed up or he was just a bad pick, because he was I think he was either a second or third round pick 2 or 3 years ago. But that's a name to look for. But as far as preseason, Tierra Tart is going to be an issue. And
yeah, he looked really good.
He's
an animal.
And 2, one thing I also noticed that kind of gave me some room for concern is how I watched the Bills Steelers preseason game. The Bills starting offense struggled with the Steelers backups. And maybe because it's preseason, we don't need to take that too seriously, but it gives me a little cause for concern.
You better take everything in Buffalo seriously, because I'm telling you right now, that franchise is headed for a face plant. And everyone, I feel like am I the only one that sees that? I think they finished last in the division this year, behind New England.
I think there's a good chance.
And back to my Titans, Tyjae Spears, regardless of his ACL situation, he don't have an ACL. He is definitively running back number 2. And I don't see a situation where they don't start splitting carries. He's going to be special. And then another thing that's been a surprising for me, probably because of the amount of movement that we've had this season, is that the amount of teams that are playing some version of their starters in the preseason. Like, my team is playing our first team offensive line because we've had issues. Some teams are playing their entire starting unit because they have new things. It's just kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
So I missed a few. Dylan, I'm sure you're going to go. The Eagles have an issue at running back. Not an issue, but a competition between Swift, Gainwell, who apparently is the starter. I don't know why you bring in Swift and Penny to start Gainwell, but you have Swift, Penny, Gainwell. But the more fun one is the Miami Dolphins. Who's their starting running back? Is it Raheem Mostert? Is it Jeff Wilson? Or is it my guy, Devin Achane? Devin Achane is a track star. This guy has got speed on top of speed. Miami has built a friggin' track team. You got Cheetah, Waddle, Mostert. Mostert's one of the fastest guys in the league.
Yeah.
And Achane. They built a track team down there. I think Devin Achane takes over that starting running back job by week 3, week 4, and I think he's special. He's got Michael Bennett written all over him. Remember Michael Bennett from the Minnesota Vikings? Super speedster. but I think he can be better. Sorry about that, Dylan.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I really like that battle. It's interesting because it seems like a lot of that running back core is very injury prone. So Shane can fit in right in. I know he's coming off an injury, but it seems like it's just going to be week to week, something minor. I imagine he probably won't play this last preseason game, and he'll be probably ready to go by week 1. But overall, Shane is a track star, really good at Texas A&M, highly recruited, really fast, did run track. I really like that running back battle. I think week 3 is very realistic. I mean, he's younger. He's going to be more hungrier. Like I said earlier, Mostert and Wilson are good running backs, but they're good in spurts. They're good gadget guys. Shane is one of those guys you can give a majority of the snaps and be really comfortable and like what he's going to give you if you give him a majority of the snaps. So I really do agree that's a good battle. One battle that I really think would be interesting is, keep it on Pittsburgh, is Jalen Warren. He looked really good running the ball for Pittsburgh. Najee Harris isn't really a super explosive back. Pittsburgh could be looking to run someone like Jalen Warren more. He had a 62-yard touchdown on his first carry of the game. Najee Harris has never ran the ball over anything over 37 yards in his career, in his first 2 seasons there. Not a very explosive running back. He's only had 7 rushes for over 20 yards. So I could see someone like Jalen Warren getting a lot more snaps just because he's the type of dude that you can give the ball and he can go, he can run. And that's something that Steelers backfield has lacked for a little bit. And then one other thing that I found interesting is just all these backup quarterback battles. I know we don't really think too much about backup quarterbacks, but they are a very prominent role. Like when it comes to later on in the season, we saw what happened with Brock Purdy. These different backup quarterbacks can get different shine. I think it's a lot more interesting when it comes to the rookie backup quarterbacks. Like Aiden O'Connell has been looking really good for the Raiders. Dorian Thompson-Robinson looked really good, and it's still been looking really good for Cleveland. I think he's someone that can lock up that number 2 spot. And then someone like Tyson Badgett from Chicago, a Division II quarterback who looked really good, is probably going to take that number 2 spot over Nathan Peterman. I mean, which is not that impressive, but still, as a Division II undrafted quarterback, it's really impressive to be that backup quarterback. You never know when injuries happen, and be your time to shine. And then, of course, got to go with Jackson Smith-Njigba, my guy from Seattle. He looked really good. He had a big 48-yard catch. Just down in the middle of the field, looked really good. I think that Seattle receiving core is going to be one of the best in the league. I think hopefully our offense is going to be one of the best. I mean, to second what Gene said, Zach Charbonnet looked really, really good. Him and Kenneth Walker are going to be a really good 1-2 punch. I do think Charbonnet will get more carriers towards the late half of the season. I think Charbonnet is going to be really used in the receiving role. Looked really good, though. He had that big explosive run against the Cowboys. So, yeah, I really like what Charbonnet has to offer. Seattle has just been killing these drafts in recent years. So,
you happy about that? I like that.
Yeah. Last year, too, Tariq Woolen. So many young offensive line that we've
drafted. And you got the best corner by far in this draft. I know I got a Seattle guy on here and a Patriots guy on here. I'm telling you right now, Devin Witherspoon would run circles around Christian Gonzalez. It's not close. It's not. I'm telling you, I watched both of them play college. Listen, Christian Gonzalez is solid, but Devin Witherspoon is elite. I'm talking about could be Sauce Gardner this year, all pro corner. He's that good. But Kyle, since we're going to you, I held this one in. I have a question about how plugged into you were the Patriots training camp. Are you plugged in?
I mean, try to keep it as much as I can. Yeah.
What are the odds that Malik Cunningham doesn't make the roster? Because before you answer, I think if I think that Belichick is as smart as he is, and I have confidence in him, you have a guy right now that he can be like, look, I did it again. I got this guy that can do anything, like Julian Edelman type, convert him quarterback, wide receiver, gadget guy. I feel like that Malik Cunningham should be on that roster over Trace McSorley. Is that what we're really asking? But what's your thoughts coming out Patriots training camp?
I actually think Cunningham is going to have a spot on the team because, just like I said, the Julian Edelman experience, he's been a guy who was willing to play quarterback, wide receiver, whatever you want. And I feel like that's definitely something that Belichick wants. I think it's getting to the point where we might see maybe a surprise cut at the wide receiver position. because a name that keeps being thrown out as to what his spot is on the team is like Tyquan Thornton, who's a guy they just drafted a couple of seasons ago, but can't seem to stay healthy enough to really do anything on the field. And I just think that with the momentum that Cunningham has with him and the excitement that he brings, I feel like for a guy like Bill O'Brien and even Belichick as well, like they could see a role for Cunningham, not just as a wide receiver. I believe what I've heard is like they've put together a package of plays where we see Mac Jones come off the field, Cunningham goes in, runs quarterback. I think probably mainly like in the red zone type area, because we know down in that area he's going to be a big threat running the ball. And if you have like Stevenson, Zeke out there with him, could be some interesting formations. So I think Cunningham's a lock. I think McSorley's obviously gone. I feel like the Patriots are done with him anyway. But another kind of battle that I'm looking at is even with the running back position, because they brought in Zeke, who's obviously the number 2 with Stevenson, there's a couple of young running backs behind them that I feel like their time in New England might be coming to an end, because you're looking at Kevin Harris, like Pierre Strong, J.J. Taylor. I feel like one of those guys will probably be gone. I'm thinking probably Pierre Strong, because at least Kevin Harris is kind of a big body back. And J.J. Taylor, I love watching him because he's one of those smaller backs, really quick and shifty. The offensive line stuff I'm definitely watching, because I think the interior of the offensive line is fine, but the tackles are going to be a big question mark. And you have Trent Brown, who they're hoping can regain his status from a couple of years ago when he played most of the season, looked pretty dominant. Last year, not so much. And then right tackle is going to be a big question mark all season, because if you go off the preseason, you've seen City Sal, or so however you pronounce it, at right tackle, and he looks lost. And if they go into the regular season with him as a right tackle, I think that's going to really hamper what the offense can do. And we know it's going to be a big season for Mac Jones, even Bill O'Brien, who I figure probably wants to get back into NFL head coaching. Don't know if he'll ever actually get there. But if he can turn around the Patriots offense and have them looking somewhat relevant, teams will probably call him, because they love retreads in the NFL. I think defensively there's a couple battles out there. The cornerback position a little bit, because Jalen Mills is trying out at safety. He seems like he's a fit there. But they also have like a couple of other guys like Jabril Peppers. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Phillips and other guys.
Adrian Phillips.
Yeah, Adrian
Kyle
Phillips.
Duggar, too. You're missing Kyle Duggar.
Oh, I forgot about Duggar's my guy too. So there's going to be some interesting cuts on the defense, because I think Mac Wilson in the linebacker position, because he kind of plays a similar role to Duggar, except for Duggar has versatility and flexibility. And we know Belichick's always going to value that more than most.
So what you're saying is there's a lot of heat at Patriots training camp.
I think so.
I think that's kind of all across the league, though. I feel like there's a lot of training camp battles. One of the ones I was hoping somebody brought up, just because I think it's ridiculous, is the backup quarterback job in San Francisco. Are we really seriously giving up on Trey Lance and saying Sam Darnold's the next Steve Young? What are we doing in San Francisco?
I mean, I don't know, because even like Darnold looked bad in that first preseason game, and he didn't even look particularly super well in this one either. I mean, if Kyle Shanahan can't turn you around, or you can't run a good offense under Kyle Shanahan, you're probably just not that good.
Bro,
I don't know.
So many coaches, Dylan. So many coaches fall for the Sam Darnold without his shirt on, throwing the football, and be like, "Oh my God, we have Steve Young," and then like pads hit and defenses adjust, and then he makes really stupid decisions, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's Sam Darnold. We've seen him before. He's seen Ghost in New York. He's lost his starting job to PJ Walker in Carolina." What are we talking about right now? Trey Lance is thrown less passes in his football career, high school, college, pro, than Geno Smith threw last year.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it up on him. Yep, you're right. We give all those picks to move up to 3, and we're just going to roll with Mr. Irrelevant, who had a nice 9-game stretch. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. You brought in Sam Darnold and then compare him to Steve Young? Are you what is Kyle Shanahan smoking?
Who knows? Yeah, it's weird,
You're
you know,
muted,
like
Bert.
you mentioned, trading all that draft capital for, you know, someone like Trey Lance and then not, you know, even using him. I'm not so much against Brock Purdy necessarily starting just based off of the recency bias and, you know, how good he did do. But with the Trey Lance being the backup, you know, that's something you need. You know, that's not something that's really crazy. Purdy could still be bad if he's bad the first couple of games. Throw Trey Lance in there, like you mentioned, has not a ton of passes in his whole football career. I mean, you got to give him that opportunity. I mean, it's worth it. If he sucks, you still have Sam Darnold on that roster, or you throw Purdy back in. But you have to let Trey Lance have a go.
I got Jory.
It's Shanahan, and you know how Shanahan rolls. He's gonna want somebody who's gonna run his offense, not do anything too spectacular to put the team at risk. That's what got him in trouble in Atlanta. Like, he threw that Super Bowl. All he had to do, and he's so enamored with making a quarterback something that they're not. Like, all he had to do
He
was
did though, Jory. He did the whole year. He made Matt Ryan something that he wasn't.
Yeah,
And
he won an MVP.
He lost the bag. Jory, he lost the bag. Julio Jones catches one of the most amazing catches you'll ever see at a Super Bowl on the sideline. You can kneel the ball 3 times, kick a 43-yard field goal, and the Super Bowl is over. And he drops back because he's Kyle shit. Jory, my dad always told me something. And it's a really, really fun line. And you just said it. It's Kyle Shanahan. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. And what Kyle Shanahan always wants to be the smartest guy in the room. He's like, oh, yeah, just run my offense because I'm the show. You look at offenses in the NFL, right? And who's a prolific offense, right? Like, you look at the Chiefs offense. It's Patrick Mahomes, right? You look at some other top teams in the league. When the Cowboys had a top offense, it was Dak Prescott. Or the Eagles, it's Jalen Hurts. You don't hear Shane Steichen stand out there like, I did that. But in San Francisco or wherever Kyle Shanahan goes, he wants the moderate quarterback so he can be like, look, I can do it with anybody. I think part of the reason he likes Sam Darnold so much is so he could just flaunt it in the league's face and be like, oh, you guys couldn't make Sam Darnold work? Watch me. I'm the almighty Kyle Shanahan.
And
Yeah, Jordan, I'm sorry.
Super Bowl. And that's exactly why they won't get a Super Bowl in San Francisco, because Kyle Shanahan thinks that he's a magician at every point possible second. So we all know, I knew this was happening because he was going to choose the person that was going to listen to him the best. But I feel like they don't need to be giving up on Trey Lance. Like, you traded all those picks for a third to go up to number 3 just to get rid of him 2 years later. Like, are you stupid or are you dumb? Like, what? It makes no sense. So, but Kyle Shanahan is going to do exactly what he wants to do, and that's why the 49ers won't get a Super Bowl as long as he's the head coach.
Love it. Any other training camp battles that you guys want to get into? We got 3 more fire questions to throw up against the wall. Before we do, can someone throw up Steven Chambers' post? Jonathan Taylor, we have to be, or Guardy Threes, one or the other. Go to Guardy Threes. It doesn't have smoke and crack on it. So the Colts are looking for a first-round pick or multiple picks equal to a first. Are the Colts aiming too high for Jonathan Taylor? They said they allowed Jonathan Taylor to seek a trade.
Right.
Oh,
what do you think his value is?
I mean, he's hurt. He's been hurt. So that takes the first round anything off that. So I don't know where the Colts think that this whole train of stupidity runs to, but nobody's falling for that. No.
Jory, I completely agree with you. So my question that I would ask of you is everybody, Kyle, Jory, Dylan, what do you think he's worth? Would you trade for a Jonathan Taylor? And I'm looking at you, Buffalo, who has started the league with James Cook, who's never been a primary running back anywhere he's been. Do you know James Cook wasn't even the primary running back out of Georgia when he got drafted? He's never been a primary running back ever. So what Miami? I don't like it. I wouldn't. My man Danny wants to send him to Miami. I don't want it. I like Devin Achane. I think he's the guy. But like, what do you think Jonathan Taylor is worth? I'll start. I think he's worth a third to a good team. A third, just to be clear. He's on a franchise tag. He's got 1 year left on his contract. So we're going to give more than a third-round pick for the right to overpay a running back in a market where no one's paying running backs?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say a third.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I say a low second round, high third round, high to mid third round pick, because I'm not paying a high second round to a first round draft pick for that. No, because he already has the injuries and he had a step back last year because of it. So I don't know where he's going to go this year. So no, I'm not paying that high of a price. You can get me at the end of the second round and top of the third round. Top of the middle of the third round, but nothing more than that.
I mean, if I wanted to, I can go out and just sign Kareem Hunt for free for a fifth-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Kyle, what's he worth?
I agree. Probably a third rounder. And another team I'd probably throw out there.
Dylan, what's he worth?
Minnesota.
Probably around a third round.
No,
probably around a
I'd
third
throw
round.
Minnesota. I'm not believing in Matheson.
It's the first time since I've lived here that my screen froze on me. That's why I repeated myself. I apologize. But what did you say, Kyle? What's he worth?
No, I said I agreed. Probably like a third, maybe fourth, because I feel like teams will, try to lowball Indy because it's Indy, and they're not trying to do Irsay any favors anyway.
He don't deserve it.
Yeah. So
No, he doesn't. He killed that Dolphin. Dylan, what's he worth to you?
I said probably agreed around a third round pick.
Okay. Maybe a conditional second, right? Like if he does this and if he plays this, we can give you a second. If he re-signs with us, we'll give you a second. Something conditional.
And I don't see him going anywhere. I don't see the coach trading him anywhere in the AFC. So you'd have to look to the NFC too. And what NFC team do you know really needs a running back other than Minnesota?
Commander.
We have a graphic of the team that would be interesting up right now. Washington. I think
they have no money on their books for quarterbacks either, so they have money to spend.
Yeah,
that's true.
They have no quarterback money on the books at all. None. All right. Well, let's move on to question number 2 of the night. Jory, you came to us with this question, and I don't know why you picked it. See, I think this was Kyle being petty, right? I was a Patriots fan, and the question is like, what is the worst sports city? Like, right, Jory, can you read the question how you like it worded?
Like, what sports town just isn't a good sports city? Whether it's just luck or how the sports team is actually performed, or is it just the culture of the city? Or it could be a mix of both.
And then he throws up the best fan base in the NFL. That's not Philadelphia Eagles.
You're talking about like it
just
being cold, probably.
There's no message behind this in any way.
This is a shot, Kyle. I know a shot from a passive guy like Kyle. This is a shot. Dylan, you know Kyle longer than me. This is a shot. Is this a shot?
Yes.
It's a little subliminal.
You should hear all of his Buffalo Bills slander.
Oh man, I disagree about the Browns. Arizona makes sense. I see some of the people in the chat. I disagree about the Browns. I think the Browns have a top 5 fan base. And when I look at bad sports towns, you know what I look at? I'll just tell you right now. I look at Tampa Bay. I look at a town that can't fill a baseball stadium at all. Their football stadium's only there when they're relevant. Florida, they could give 2 shits. Jacksonville's a terrible sports town.
Yes.
The whole state of Florida. Throw the whole damn state. What's a good sports fan base in Florida? The Lightning when they're winning? Because you don't hear about Lightning fans like every
I
other
guess their
season they're not
I
winning.
guess their college programs get a lot of like hype behind them. Like Florida
Yeah.
State always
And
got
they
their
haven't done
diehards.
nothing
Same with
much.
Florida.
Yeah, that's Gainesville. That's not
True.
Miami, Tampa, or Jacksonville.
True.
I'm going the whole state of Florida for my answer. Throw them all in there. They're terrible. The fans are terrible. I think there's more authentic Dolphins fans that live outside the state of Florida than the ones that live inside. My man Danny, my man Chris, they live outside of Florida.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
That's my pick.
I actually had like a list of 3. One, DC is not a sports town either. If you look at the state of the Commanders and of the Wizards, that should tell you all the answers that you need to know. And Detroit has never really been a sports town to me, unless it just hasn't. Because when was the last time we talked anything positive about the Tigers? I know
the Tigers, they're terrible. You're right.
But when was the last time we talked anything positive about the Pistons or the Tigers?
Detroit basketball. I'm old enough to remember that, Jory. You can't listen just because the Pistons have stunk. The Pistons have a good fan base.
They have stunk for how many years?
To me, that builds character. That builds character in a fan base. They're loyal. I give Lions fans.
You just said you think the Browns have a good fan base, so
I do. You don't?
I don't like the Browns, but
no, I'm not asking if you like the Browns or the team. First of all, fans have nothing to do with the success of an organization.
I don't like their fans either.
What don't you like about Browns fans?
Like, why are you loyal?
I'm tagging this and sending it to a Browns fan.
Like,
I'm just
why
kidding.
are you loyal to a team that went horrible for the past decade and a half?
See, that's a man and woman thing right there. That's what that is right there.
Why?
I'm gonna tell you, Jory. I'm gonna tell you right now. Men are loyal. We're loyal. All right, women. If you lose your job and you're no longer making 6 figures a year and you have to start driving for Uber Eats, they're out. Right? Like that's your opinion. They're like, why are you loyal to this team? Why are you loyal to this man? You sound like all my ex's friends. Why are you loyal to this man? Because I work hard. Damn it.
I will give Browns fans credit. You know, the dog pound is they're one of those fan bases that's synonymous with the NFL.
I give them credit for being loyal to trash, but
you got to marry a Browns fan, Jory. You got to marry a Browns fan. He'll never cheat on you.
No,
he doesn't chase rings. He will never cheat on you. They are loyal. Detroit Lions fans, Browns fans, Bills fans. Those fans have been through it all, waiting for a Super Bowl. I give them credit. I love fans like that. Here's the fans I don't like. Freddie Henderson. Oh, I'm a Rams fan because the Giants stink. Oh, now the Rams stink. I'm back with being a Giants. See, that's the non-loyal fans. That's the fan base I don't respect. The Browns will go 0-16 and sell out the damn stadium. Give them credit.
They're still insufferable. All the credit in the world can debate that fact that they're insufferable when they do win something.
Okay. Listen, you're right. You're right about that. I will give you that credit. Here's the point, right? Do you know the expression act as if you've done this already? Act as if. You ever heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Browns fans can't act as if because they never did it. So yes, they are insufferable when they're winning because they're not used to winning. Lakers fans will be like throwing a temper tantrum if their team loses in the Western Conference Finals.
I know a few.
That's my point. So those fans expect championships only, and if you don't get a championship, you're a loser. And there's 32 teams in the NFL.
That's true.
31 of them are going to be losers.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta's not a good sports town either.
That's
fair. To popular
it
belief.
Really isn't.
I don't know.
Karam deserves everything. Throw up Karam Kuz My man Karan has been a Thunder fan through the worst rebuild ever. They were almost worse than the Sixers rebuild. The process, the Thunder, man, Karan, you're my guy. Dylan, who are the worst sports fans in the world?
Man, I had a couple of your guys's, but one that I have that still hasn't stuck out or nobody said is Minnesota. I mean, at least when it comes to sports luck, I mean, when you look at the football team, hasn't been really super great. I mean, they're kind of been stuck in purgatory. The last time they made an NFC championship was very controversial, the reason they made it, and then they got blown out by the Eagles, 38-7. So, I mean, overall, the football team hasn't been great. They haven't made a Super Bowl in 46 years. Haven't won a Super Bowl. Timberwolves, they've missed 16 out of the last 19 postseasons. Haven't been really good since Kevin Garnett was there. Haven't had really any super great dominant teams. You had some young talents like Anthony Edwards, Cat throughout the years, but none of them have been super prolific enough to take them to really anything higher than the just first round of the playoffs. Then you look at, I mean, I'm not sure how many hockey fans are watching, but the Wild, they've only made it past the first round 3 times in their whole franchise's history. So, you know, that's not a good look, at least as a hockey fan. And then the Twins, they've only made the postseason 9 times since 1991, and with 6 first-round exits in between all of that. So not really a good sports luck city. Always seems like their teams are just okay, you know, never anything too great. Yeah, just a lot of underperforming there in Minnesota. Plus, it's cold. I hate being cold.
Can you throw up John Suggs' comment? I got something to say. He said Oakland.
I was going to bring up Oakland.
Right. Are you going to bring up Oakland? Is that on your list? I'm arguing with you. I'm ready. Yeah, tell me why first.
But my thing with Oakland is I feel like it's more
the mayor.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the fans are kind of out of this. It's just been the bad luck of the city not being able to keep their franchises. Like, they're going to lose the A's. They lost the Raiders. Didn't the Warriors move away from the Oakland area? It's just like, how much can a fan base go through in a city more than Oakland? And
they need a new damn mayor.
Exactly. And you see what the A's did. The minute they announced the whole Vegas thing, they packed the stadium, and they have been against the ownership and the mayor night in and night out. Like, it's a really good fan base, but how long do you think those fans are going to show up for that porta potty of a stadium that, you know, leaks sewage and all this kind of stuff? Every fan base would stay away from that. And they've never rebuilt it. They haven't done anything for those fans. So that's the only reason why I was going to bring up Oakland, not necessarily the fan base itself, because really good fans in Oakland. Yeah.
That's all I want. I'm here to defend the fans, right? That's all I'm here for. I'll trash the Florida fans because they're all awful, but I'm here to defend the fans. Fans of Oakland, fans that the Black Hole. That was one of the best fan bases in the world, in the country. Mm-hmm. The Black Hole. These Oakland A's fans show up for one of the worst teams in baseball history, sell out the stadium and go nuts. The whole place just despite the ownership. Oh my God, I feel bad for Oakland fans. I seriously do.
Yep.
Who else you got?
I mean, I was gonna bring up like Minnesota, but
y'all both said Minnesota.
Yeah, my main one was Oakland. That's all I had for you.
I'll never forget. It was a playoff game, and I know that Dylan remembers this game. Minnesota versus Seattle. I think it was a 10-9 final score.
Yeah.
And the Minnesota kicker missed like a 29-yard field goal to win the playoff game. I forget the guy's name.
It was probably Greg Joseph. I think it was Greg Joseph.
He missed a 29-yard field goal to send them to the second round of playoffs. I'll never forget that game. That was like Russell Wilson's heyday. No one expected Seattle to lose that game. They're like, there's no way. Seattle's always great. And it was like 10-9. Yeah.
And since you brought up Minnesota, that's why I'm thinking that the Vikings need to go ahead and get another quarterback while Justin Jefferson is in his prime, because I don't want him to be on that list of wasted talent.
Well, you can't. All right, so you're right, but he's never going to be wasted. Kirk Cousins, if he's nothing, he locks on to his primary receiver and throws him the ball a ton. So that's never going to all right, was Calvin Johnson's career wasted? Yes, because he didn't win. But if we're being honest, he had some of the most productive seasons ever because Matt Stafford threw him the ball 185 times in one season. So, like, I don't know if that's wasted. I think that winning is wasted from winning. So you're right there. But I don't think Kirk Cousins is the full reason they don't win. I think that the fact that they have cornerbacks that were working at ShopRite 3 weeks ago, like, that's their biggest problem. But just my opinion. Oh, and to any Vikings fans listening, if you think Alexander Madison is the answer at running back this year, you will be sadly mistaken.
If he was the answer, you would have just, played him from the start.
Any other comments on fan? See, can I give you the best fan bases? Can I give them to you real quick?
Mm-hmm.
I got a top 5 for you. Best fan bases. The Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Green Bay Packers, the Cleveland Browns. Like, those are 4 of the best fan bases in the country. They're all like, the freaking Green Bay Packers own the team. They have stock in the franchise. And then for 5, just because Dylan's here and I like him, I think Seattle's up there too.
Yeah.
I love the 12th man. The whole gimmick with the Hawk and the 12th man, I love that. I think that they do that right.
You get like Seattle legends or just people who are very popular in Seattle to fly the 12th man flag every game.
I love that. Would you put San Diego on the list? They lost the Clippers. Chargers want to leave. Padres probably won't never win a World Series. That's a very good. That's very good.
Yep, agreed.
And their fan base sucks.
Yeah.
Like, every LA Chargers game, which was San Diego before, you would have, it was a joke because there'd be more fans for the other team than it would be for the Chargers there.
Yeah.
Because the Chargers do the same thing every year, which is give us a whole bunch of hope to fall flat.
That's Jory, that's for another show. But I have told you and all other Chargers, I know you're not a Chargers fan, and all the Chargers fans this plenty of times before. The problem with franchises are on the owners. It's on the owners of the team because you had a guy in there that gave Justin Herbert one of the most successful seasons of all time in Anthony Lynn. You got rid of him, which was very unpopular, and you given Brandon Staley time and time and time and time again. I wonder what the difference was. Just wondering. So Wayne Curtis says Eagles fans, Eagles have horrible fans. I'm sorry, just fair weather fans. Hate their teams when they suck. They boo their own team and burn the city down. Sorry, Dean, but it's all true. I want to know how many times Wayne Curtis has been to Philadelphia. Because we boo our teams, but we still show up. And the Eagles have sold out for like the last 25 years. So, you cannot say the Eagles ticket is the biggest ticket around town. There's no doubt about it. You're going to get an Eagle. There's never an empty seat in the damn stadium. I'll tell you right now, Eagles fans show up and they let you know how they feel. And the one thing they boo and the one thing they hate is when you don't give effort.
Yep.
We'll take a Tyrese Maxey 100 times out of 100 over a James Harden.
Ben Simmons.
That's the point, right? Look at the athletes we love and look at the athletes we hate, right? We didn't like Donovan. We never liked Donovan. We don't like Ben Simmons, never liked Ben. Well, we tried to like Ben.
Right.
We don't like James Harden, but we like Chase Utley. We like Brian Dawkins. We like Jason Kelsey. I want you to look at the difference in the athletes. Hard-nosed, grit, in your face. They do everything. The Philadelphia Phillies still love Aaron Rowan to this day, and he only played 2 years here because he ran into the damn fence and broke his nose. That's who we love. That's who we love.
Yeah.
All right,
Boston's a similar way too. You play hard, they'll cheer you for it. If you loaf around, they'll hate you.
and we don't burn the city down. Now, some of our drunk fans might eat dog or horse poop, which was ridiculous.
I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
they ate horse poop.
Yeah.
What?
Right? I'm not kidding.
Yep.
Huh?
It's not a joke. Can't even make it up.
I saw the video. They are wild.
Bro, the video I shared in the Sport SEN chat where Eagles fans and they're asking them questions. I'm telling you, bro, it's like that at the stadium. They're just ridiculous. And they say ridiculous stuff, somewhat intentional, but it's funny. They asked the one guy, what's one of the worst things that you would do for an Eagles championship? He goes, I might kill my dog. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the third question tonight. This has been fun so far. I'm having a ball.
I'm enjoying it.
And now we're going to talk about this jokes. Come on.
Lord.
Kyle, I knew I was having too good of a night. Go ahead. Lay it on me.
All right, so look, we got James Harden. He's in the news and all that good stuff. But I believe he'll probably go through his career never winning a title. Would you say, because I'm pretty sure nobody's going to say he's the best player to never win a title, but could you make an argument for him being even top 5 best players to never win a title? And we can start with...
I'd like to go last, please.
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Jory.
And the answer is no.
Okay.
Because it's like, and it's partially due to why he doesn't have a ring. Why? It's because he always fizzles out when the lights shine brightest. Like if James Harden tried as hard to win a championship as he tried as hard to force his way out of stuff, he'd have about 2 or 3 rings by now. You could argue with me about that. Because it's like, and when you think about the top, like some of the top 5 players of all time that don't have rings, don't hit me. Like the Barkleys, the Iversons, the Steve Nashes, did you religiously worry about them not showing up in the playoffs? No. So,
can you do me a favor real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Can you never mention my man Allen Iverson and Steve Nash in the same sentence again?
I'm just saying. Yeah, I got you. But
Steve Nash is the most overrated player ever, but I get it. I'm sorry.
You didn't worry about him not showing up when the lights shine brightest. You didn't worry about that if you did, it wasn't religious like we do with James. Like everywhere James has been, playoffs, shuts off. And as soon as he gets into a position where he's prepping himself to make a title run, he shuts off. He don't want to do it. It's pass. I'm not shooting nothing, and I'm not playing a lick of defense either. That's why I'm like, he's not going to be a top 5 because his effort in those games is not there. Like, at least with some of these players, the effort is there. Lord, I wish James Harden would go to China like he wants to.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
They buy his wine.
Yeah, Dylan.
I mean, Jory summed it up really well. If you can, there's so many players you can fit into a top 5, just like probably 2, 3, 4 different lists of just different players before you could probably reach James Harden when it comes to this list. James Harden's good, but when you think about it, he only has 1 finals appearance. That was with OKC. He wasn't even the top option there. He's never been to the finals as a top option. He's not going to be looked at as a top option ever in his career. So, I mean, if he were to not win a ring, I mean, it kind of is due to himself, like Jory said, forcing his way out, trying to make super teams, putting himself in different situations. And then when he doesn't like the situation, instead of owning up to it, he cries and complains and tries to force himself out into a different situation. When I just think of top 5, I think of different players like, Jory mentioned Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, even someone like Elgin Baylor. James Harden is not on the caliber of any of those type of players. I think career-wise, I mean, even comparing them, like I mentioned, career-wise, Harden isn't there. He's not looked as someone who's there for the grind. He wasn't looked as someone who is there for even really big playoff moments or experiences. I mean, they tried in that Houston run. It didn't really work. They didn't really they got close to that, Western Conference Finals, but that was about it, Harden's always choked, like Jory said. When the lights are the brightest, he chokes. Like we've mentioned, like just many different players before, like you could always trust on those players to try to, make it when it happened. There's just different circumstances, regardless of team building or injuries, that some of the reason that these players didn't win. Harden's had super teams built, not maybe around him, but built for him as well too, and nothing's happened from it.
Okay,
maybe
Kyle.
Yeah. So I will be honest that I did put up the Bills one because a little subliminal, and I did pick the James Harden one because I just wanted to rip James Harden. I could have, probably picked something else, but when I look at James Harden, there's no shot of him being top 5. There's plenty of players that are better. And the crazy thing is, like, if you look at the teams that he's run away from and some of the superstars he's had a chance to play with, like, he's had Chris Paul. He's had Dwight Howard, say what you want about Dwight Howard or whatever, great big man. Durant, Kyrie. Now it's Joel Embiid's the next one that he's trying to run away from. And as I've said before, the past few years, you could tell James Harden's looking for the path of least resistance to get a title. He's trying to latch on to great players, and then the minute it doesn't work, he's trying to back away. And Jory, like you said, I would love to see him China or Taiwan playing with Dwight Howard. That way I wouldn't have to pay attention to him because I'm not searching around for Chinese basketball, especially not Taiwan. I'd have to be out of my mind to try to find Taiwanese basketball.
I heard Saudi Arabia.
He's just a guy that's going to go down as really great talent, just did not put in the work, whether it's becoming even anything defensively. Like, we don't need you to be defensive player of the year. Try at least.
He doesn't even try.
That's what I'm saying. If he just tried, he probably would be in a better position today. Offensively, he has those moments where he just wants to stick on the perimeter, completely bring the offense to a stop, and then just hoist up a fadeaway 3, hoping somebody touches his toe so he can throw his head back and get 3 free throws. And he's one of the more frustrating stars to watch in any sport that I can remember. So he's not top 5. He's not nowhere near top 5 to me. So
He can take that with him.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
It's all yours, Gene.
James Harden's Game 7 stats versus the Boston Celtics. 41 minutes played, 9 points, 6 boards, 7 assists, 7 turnovers. Shot 27.3% from the field. He was 1 of 5 from 3 with a -30.
Yeah.
Start there. Guys, don't get it twisted. If we're arguing if James Harden is a better player to not win a ring than Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Elgin Baylor, even CP3 and Allen Iverson, Patrick Ewing, John Stockton, they're all better players than what James Harden is. I would take every one of their careers over James Harden. The argument would be, is he top 10? Is he over Russell Westbrook? Is he not over Russell Westbrook? That's a question you might be able to ask yourself. But James Harden is a bum, and he's a scrub, and he's an awful person. He's forced his way out of 3 organizations now. This will be his 5th NBA team once he leaves Philadelphia. I think he put an IG story up of a fat suit by itself, just to be like, oh, I'm gonna cause problems if you let me stay here. I cannot stand James Harden, and I would trade him for some Uncle Ben's rice-a-roni. And I'm not like I would give him away. Give me a ham and cheese sandwich on a nice roll. I want a Kaiser. But or Amoroso. I'll take an Amoroso. But get him out of here. I don't want him here. He's awful. Screw him. Top 5 player to never win a ring. He's not a top 5 player to never win a ring in the NBA right now. Screw him, man. Dominique Wilkins is another one.
Yeah. Reggie Miller.
A good one, Grant Hill.
Reggie Miller. Tracy McGrady.
Vince Carter.
Vinsanity. I would take Vinsanity 100 times over 100. Prime Vinsanity. Oh, Prime Vinsanity. I don't know if you guys remember that Sixers versus Raptors series with Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, and versus Allen Iverson. A lot of people don't remember Tracy McGrady used to be a Raptor. Forget that because he blew up in Orlando. But a lot of people forget that. T-Mac was a Raptor with Vinsanity, his cousin.
That's why I don't even think that James Harden, if it comes down to it, will be even a top 15, top 20 player to never win a ring. Just because the names that y'all just rattled off. Like, where is he going to fit behind that?
See, if you look at his stats over his career, statistically, he's better, right?
Mhm.
He's got MVPs. We got 2, right? Or did you just have 1?
I think he just has
I was
one.
thinking just one.
Because
but-
because it was all that news about him getting snubbed a couple years in a row.
Okay, so he has an MVP. He's the things he did with Houston when he was the number 1 option. I think he was a Chris Paul hamstring away from going to the finals that 1 year versus Golden State.
Mhm.
But no, I can't look at James Harden and say he's better than Chris Paul career-wise. I can't do it. I can't. James Harden's Game 7 performances throughout his career have been I'll never forget the one versus Golden State, dude. We talk about that. He had 32 points, but he had a minus 13 net rating. He was chucking them up. He was 12 for 29. I'll never forget that. So like James Harden showed up for a Game 7. Yeah, he shot the ball 30 times.
Yeah.
Like he was 2 of 13 from 3. Like, stop it. Stop it. It's embarrassing. I'll never forget the one he should have lost to Oklahoma City with Chris Paul. I'll never forget that. He had 17 points that game. They tried to lose that game to a Chris Paul-led team that should never have been there. But we ready to move on? Let's move on. Let's get off this. I was in a great mood, and you threw a picture of this dope up there. All right, so I have a fun, weird lineup here. And I'm telling you right now, I have an idea for how I want to do it. And you might look at me like I'm nuts, but I'm telling you it'll work. Telling you it'll work. Kyle, you got to go first once. Give me yours. I know you looked it up. I know you have your lineup. I know you're prepared.
To be honest with you, this one was tough to come up with a good lineup. Because I came up with like a couple that I'm like, which one should I go with? But and I try to keep bias out of this because you got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on there. I could have done that.
I almost put both on my list.
I'm tempted to.
To preface this is not a lifetime achievement. Right. So like LeBron right now, LeBron 2023. Like, of course he's $5 and he's up there if he's but it's LeBron right now. It's Kawhi with my knee is never going to work ever again. It's Ja with the gun issues. Like, you're getting Ja, he's shooting at people. Like, it's right now.
All right. I mean, okay, so all right.
You're not ready. I'll go.
I got one. So I'm gonna go Jokic for 5.
Okay.
I'm going Tatum for 4.
Okay.
I'm going Jaylen Brown with the $2 one.
Okay, so now you're at $11. You got $4 left to spend.
I'm gonna go Butler for 3.
Jimmy Butler, okay. So you got 3 wings. I see it. 2, 3, 4. Now you need a point guard. Finish it out.
Right on my point. Even though I can't stand the guy.
You're not putting Kyrie in there.
I can't stand the guy.
Oh my God, you're not doing it.
I was teasing. No, I wouldn't. I couldn't because I feel like Kyrie would mess it up somehow. I'll take Donovan Mitchell. Running my point.
Okay, so that's interesting, right? Because you basically picked a non-point guard lineup, and my lineup is a non-point guard lineup. I have a non-point guard lineup, and I believe a point guard needs to be on the court at all times, but I'll explain mine, I promise you. Jory, give me your lineup. I know you have it ready. I know you've seen this, and you were like locked in, had your $15. I bet you Jory only spent $14, and she saved $1. She's like, I don't even need the extra $1. Go ahead, Jory.
So for my $5 spot, I put Jokic.
Okay.
That was a dead giveaway for me. Now my $4 spot, I was definitely kind of conflicted between Braun and Tatum as now, but for fandom reasons, of course I'm gonna put LeBron on there. And then number 3, I had a hard time like picking between Booker and Butler.
Okay.
But in my lineup, I'm definitely prioritizing stopping people from scoring. So I would just have to put Butler because Butler's a better defender.
Yeah, John Suggs, it is $15 limit.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
John Suggs asked if it was $15 limit.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
Now,
yeah.
my one spot, I definitely looked at the whole one selection, and my safest spot, my safest bet was Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
And then 2, AD, because I'm a Lakers fan and I'm prioritizing being big in defense.
Oh, I get it. I get it. I have something for you. I have something for you. I have a lineup that's going to work 100%, and it's a weird lineup, but I'm telling you, when you hear it, you're going to be like, oh, scary friggin' lineup. Dylan, give me your lineup.
So, I mean, make it easy at 5 and 4. I'm going to agree with the mass. Go Jokic, Tatum.
Okay.
I think the two best at value at those numbers. And then 3, I'm going to kind of go with what everyone's going. I'm going Jimmy Butler on it. Another good defensive piece. To help out with that guard defensive piece for $2, I'm going to go Jaylen Brown. And then my guard, I'm going Donovan Mitchell. I think I'll have a lot of size. Good playmaking, definitely, for sure. A lot of explosiveness.
You're welcome. I'm about to show you. I'm about to flip this list on us for. Nowhere in the rules did it say you had to pick one from each column.
Oh, I know.
That's true.
The value in each one. It felt like there was like every value. Like if you look at Brown, I think
I will feed you, baby bird.
Okay.
I will feed you. You tell me you have a front court of Jokic and Giannis.
Okay.
I got Jokic at the 5. He's going to be the space it out 5, the distributor, little point forward action. The offense is going to run through him. Giannis, the defender, defending the lane, blocking shots. You're going to give me Jokic and Giannis? I'll waste $10 right away. There's value here. There's value. So I'm going to go down to my $1 because I need to earn some money back. What does Jokic need? He needs a Jamal Murray. He needs a sniper. He needs a guy that can shoot the basketball. So I'm going to throw Beal and Ingram both in my lineup. Give me Beal and Ingram to space the floor, shoot the lights out, open space, shooters.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nobody to bring the ball up. There's nobody to use at this point and say, okay, who's going to run my offense? And then I thought for a minute. I looked at the 76ers and I said, that playoff run versus Toronto, they took the ball out of Ben Simmons' hand. They let somebody else run the offense. I looked last year at the Miami Heat and I say, who runs the offense? Oh, it's Jimmy Butler. So when you look at my lineup, I go Jokic at the 5, Giannis at the 4, James Butler, Jimmy Butler at the 3, and then I put B.I. at the 2, the length, the athleticism, and with Beal at the 1. It doesn't matter. We're playing Jimmy Butler's bringing the ball up. I'm good. I got my spacing for my shooters. Giannis can dive the lane. He plays great defense. Jimmy Butler plays great defense, and Jokic is he's going to be the guy in the middle that's distributing it, all these guys. If you're sticking the shooters on the outside, he's got Giannis crashing the lane to dunk it again. I got everything. I got it all. I'm taking my lineup, guys.
Ingram is great value at the $1. I thought of different lineups with him as well because I'm a big Brandon Ingram fan. I mean, John kind of copied what you were going with as well.
Oh, he went Curry, though. He went Curry Jokic. I like the 5-5.
Yeah.
He went Curry Jokic. Could you imagine that 2-man game with Jokic's passing ability with Curry running around the floor? Could you imagine that? I love that, John. John, I love that. Look at that lineup. Curry's running around the floor. You got Jaylen Brown as your what?
I love that.
Like a Harlem Globetrotters with the passing.
Problem with that lineup is you have no rim protection, no interior rim protection.
Right.
That's the problem with that lineup. They're not defensively sound. You have Jaylen Brown and then a bunch of guys that are minus defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Who else got a lineup? Anybody else got one? Put it up there. Guys, let me ask you a question. Can we look at each row and figure out who we think? And here's the thing that drives me nuts, right? Mm-hmm. All 3 of you that went before me chose Jokic as the best value at $5. He's not the best player in the league, guys. He's not. Nothing against him. For 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you're taking Jokic over Giannis? Did we forget what happened 2 years ago? He gets one One first-round exit the playoff Jimmy Butler without Chris Middleton, and all of a sudden Giannis is no longer the best player in the world? Didn't they not have the best record?
I still have Giannis one.
Giannis is the best player in the world.
It was a flip-flop. It was a flip-flop. I just think that Jokic is a better shooter than Giannis. Slightly.
That's fair.
It's fair. I think that people should be proud of me. I could have easily took Jokic out and put Joel in there and been like, oh, homered it. Would have done it. And that would have gave me an extra $1. And I would have just probably swapped out Beal or BI for Jaylen Brown, who's defensive stardom. Or I could have went nuts, right? I could have replaced Jimmy Butler. I could have ran Jimmy Butler. If I went Giannis, my original lineup when I looked at it, I went Giannis, Joel, Jimmy Butler, Jaylen Brown, and then I went with Bradley Beal. And my lineup, 4 out of 5 guys can play ridiculous defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all defensive stoppers. But the issue I had with that team was Jimmy's not a plus 3-point shooter. Joel's not a plus 3-point shooter. Giannis is not a plus 3-point shooter. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to not have floor spacing.
Right defensively, though.
100%. Damn. Said the same while Gene was talking. What did you say? I don't know. Please help me. Maybe he's talking about Giannis being the best player in the world.
Maybe.
Okay. Dylan, let me ask you a question. At the $4, who's the best value? Forget position. Who do you think is the best player on that line?
I don't know.
Man, if we have to go best player, just like currently, if you had to have one just for one season, it'd be rough, but you probably would. I would say Tatum still. I mean, Joel's the MVP, but if you look at the upside and just the spacing, what you can get with Tatum, I think he can work a lot better with a lot more different stars depending on what situation you're putting him in than Joel Embiid. Obviously, Joel Embiid's going to be a little bit, a lot more better defensively, not a lot, but better defensively. I just think Tatum's more well-rounded. I think you get a lot of value with him at 4.
Joel's the better player. I say that with facts behind my statement. He's more dominant. More teams have to double team him. He's the better player. Argue with me. I don't mind. He's the better player. I'm not saying that I would start him.
Mm-hmm.
You agree?
No, I'm waiting for the rebuttal. I want to hear it. Who's the best value at $4, Jory?
Best value?
At $4.
It's between Joel and Tatum, but
Fair.
It depends on what I want on my team. Like if I just want straight out dominance, I'm gonna ask for Joel. If I want somebody who I know that has it in them, that's gonna show up for about 4 quarters a game, I'm gonna ask for Jason Tatum. It depends on what I want in my team.
Okay. But who's the best value? I'm not asking Kyle. I know where he's going. He's a Boston guy. I'm a Philly guy. I'm not going to ask him. Doesn't make sense. Tatum, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. $3, the best value. I think we all agreed it. If we all pick Jimmy Butler, who would be your second $3 value? For me, it's PG-13.
Yeah, I was struggling when I was building my lineup between Paul George and Jimmy Butler on just who I wanted to play because I know with
it's definitely not Trae Young. Trae Young never sniffed one of my lineups.
Yeah.
I never was like, you know what, Trae Young would fit in well here. Never, not one.
Maybe if he was like a $1 option.
I didn't even look at him on this whole graphic.
Definitely not Trae.
With Paul George, I know Jimmy Butler has the streaks of being like crazy good offensively, but with Paul George, you have a little more consistency, at least on the shooting aspect when it comes to offensively, and then he's still really good at defensively as well. He does at least floor spacing a little bit better depending on what you're trying to build.
Can he stay healthy?
Sure, fair enough. Agreed. That's why I picked Jimmy Butler at the end of the day.
Who's your best value at $3 outside Jimmy Butler? We all picked Jimmy.
Ooh, it's between. I'm gonna just go ahead and say Devin Booker. Just stay with my chest, Booker.
See, Jory, I seen that. I felt that. I like that. Stay there. All right, best $3 value, Kyle. That's not named Jimmy Butler.
I'd probably go Paul George.
PG. Okay.
Although Booker would make it very tough, but I'd take Paul George slightly over Booker.
Best $2 value. I'll tell you the worst $2 value. Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not one time when I was looking at this list, I was like, you know what? Trae Young, Rudy Gobert. Could you imagine? No, I never did that.
Yeah.
So, and then Harden would be the second worst, in my opinion. Screw him. And then Cat would be the third worst. So it's between AD and Jaylen Brown, right? I think it's Jaylen Brown. We can all.
I think it's Jaylen Brown as well too.
Okay, Jory, tell me it's AD.
It's just definitely AD. I'm just gonna sit here and be different.
No, don't be different. Say we can chat. You want me to argue your point for you? I'll argue it for you.
I like AD. Like AD is more bang for your buck. Like when you like defensively, like offensively, he's been inconsistent his whole career. So y'all people holding that against him. He's been doing that since Kentucky. What he brings to the defensive table is pretty much top tier. It's top tier. So yeah, he's the best value for me.
The games AD played well, the Lakers won. The games AD played bad, they lost.
Yeah.
He was more the best game LeBron played, they lost.
I tell Lakers fans they don't win that
If
bubble
he
title
fixed the
without
streaky
AD.
offensive thing, hopefully that he got his money, he'll be more motivated to fix that offensive streakiness. Ain't no telling what AD can do, and if he can stay healthy too, because that's his issue too, and motivated.
So for $1, I eliminated the two players that don't like basketball.
Zion and Kyrie.
I eliminated them. There's no way that you can play on my team. Like we would have a great team. We'd be like 71-1, headed into the playoffs. And Kyrie'd be like, I want to go on an expedition. I need some time away from the game. Like, nah, bro, I can't deal with that. Get off my team. Zion Williamson, we'd be dominating. Zion, like, yeah, I'm not really feeling like I'm Zion tonight.
Let me go.
I'm not going to play. What?
And I feel like Zion.
He said, I don't feel like Zion. Y'all are headed into a playoff series. Yeah, physically I'm healthy. Not really feeling like Zion, though.
What's it going to take for him to feel like Zion? A trip to you know what? I'm going to leave that alone.
Chris West said LeBron was at his best when he played for the Heat, hands down. I'll disagree, right? And I'm not saying that if you block it out, right, give him 4 specific moments, like his early Cavs days, his Miami Heat days, his Cavs days part 2, and then his Lakers days. I actually think the best LeBron I've ever seen has been Cavs part 2. The problem is most people, they go, which one? Cavs LeBron, Heat LeBron, or Lakers LeBron? And then you look at it and you go, okay, the Cavs, he was a rookie, he was this, he was that. But Cavs part 2, that was the best LeBron I've ever seen. Miami LeBron was great. He would be second. But Cavs LeBron part 2 was the best one I've ever seen.
I could not stand Heat LeBron because he was flopping too much. I'm like, come on, bro.
Heat LeBron was flopping too much. Have you not watched him on the Lakers? Every other game, he's on the ground with a career-ending injury until they call flagrant, and then he goes, "I'm good."
I'm numb to it because he's on my team now.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Who's the best value at $1?
Give me Brandon Ingram.
BI.
Yeah, I'd say Brandon Ingram.
I think it's Spider, BI, or Beal, depending on how you want to build your team. So you can pick one of those 3, in my opinion.
I was trying not to pick Donovan because he was on my roster. I'm trying to go separate.
I get it. Yo, Spider, if you look at those 5 players and you were like, what player do you want on your team? I would have to say it depends on what type of team I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I don't think any of those players could like lead a team to a championship. None of them. But like it would be really what I need in a team. And the reason I took Ingram and Beal, you ever watch the movie Draft Day?
Mm-hmm.
He said, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. And then the coach replies to him. He goes, I got 52 Tarzans. I could use a Jane. When you're building an NBA roster, if I have 3 Tarzans, I need 2 Janes. And my Janes are Brandon Ingram and Bradley Beal. They're soft. That's fine. I'm okay with them not being physically or dominating. But what they are is they're exactly what I need for my team. Mm-hmm. They're role players. Well, any final comments on tonight? This has been a fun show. Jory, thank you so much for joining. You brought so much to the table. Dylan, Kyle, it's been really awesome to be back here talking sports with y'all. Y'all allow me to be my crazy. I get to be crazy with y'all. I love it.
Yeah.
Any final questions, comments, questions from the crowd? We got time. We could stay on if we need to, but we never, ever, ever, and this is the one of the promises of the cheap seats when we started. We don't want filler. We want to give you a show until our show is done.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any questions you guys want us to discuss, we will. Other than that, thank you, Marlon. My man, Marlon Brando. Bradley, I know. I'm just kidding. I hope you heard my Seahawks love earlier in the show. I gave y'all credit, the 12th man. Seahawks fan, him and Dylan, they hang out together. They watch the games together. They don't know each other. I'm just messing around.
Skype.
So, Dylan, you came a little late. You've been fined. We're going to fine you afterwards. So, the letter is in the mail.
Send it to my lawyer.
But any final comments? Any final thoughts?
We're getting into cut week. It's the final week of the preseason, so we're going to probably see a lot more starters playing, a lot more of our favorite players out there on the field, but it's definitely going to be where we're going to see a lot of roster shakeup. Not too much, of course, not a lot of big name stars moving, maybe some veterans being cut here and there. But overall, it's gonna be the final week of football before college kicks up, and then we got NFL regular season, Kansas City, Detroit, that Thursday. So I'm getting excited.
John, I will answer that question. I promise. I'm going to go through the panel, though, real quick. We can all answer it at the end. It'll be our final thought. Kyle, the Prince of Production, Sports Empire Network. Any final thoughts outside that question? Because we're going to get to it. It's going to be our final thought.
The only thing I'll say is I do agree. Buffalo, I know I'm the Patriots fan on it, but I actually do love Buffalo fans. So that's the only thing I'll say.
He already got threats from Buffalo fans when he put the picture up. They start sending him emails. He's scared. He's nervous. I get it, bro. I understand.
I didn't say I was scared of him.
They said they were going to throw him to a table. They said they were going to throw him to a table. They told me.
Hey, they set a table up.
I was CC'd on the emails.
Yeah. Then they knocked on his window. They knocked on his window behind him.
They're crazy. But if they put one out there, I might jump through one.
Jory, appreciate you hopping on tonight. You've been awesome. Everything you brought to the table. Any final thoughts, comments, anything that you want to share?
Other than when is football season really start? The 10th ish?
No, I think it's the 8th.
I'll be in New
It's
York.
Thursday.
So
Might be the 7th or 8th.
I'll be in New York having the ball of my life watching games on.
So wait. You'll be in New York on the September 8th, 7th?
I'll be in New York the 7th through the 10th.
Yo, this is so wild, right? Jory lives down south. I live up north.
Mm-hmm.
Jory is flying to New York while I'm flying to Florida. Same dates. I'm flying back on September 11th. They said it's a bad omen. I don't think. Whatever. September 7th to the 11th. I'm going to Florida. Universal Studios. Catch me down there. I'll have my wire-to-wire supply on. We go to Halloween Horror Nights every year. It's a fun time.
I'm just going to spend money because it's a shopping spree. So I'm just like.
You're going to New York to shop?
Yep. And come
I
back.
have overpriced stuff in Philadelphia if you want to come down. There's overpriced stuff everywhere. You don't have to go to New York for that.
Oh, no, because if I really wanted something overpriced, I just go downtown Atlanta.
Exactly.
But it's for the experience and time with my mom and stuff like that.
That's fair. Listen to me. Are you a pizza fan? Do you enjoy pizza?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to me. Every day you're there, you have to try a new pizza spot in New York. Download the One Bite app. I'm not doing a promo for Dave Portnoy, but look up his nines. He has like 4 or 5 nines in the city of New York. They are life-changing pizzas. John's of Bleecker Street, gotta go there. It's got to be on the agenda.
I'll put it on there.
Okay, 100%. Trust me. If you don't like the pizza, I will buy the pizza for you. We'll cash app you the pizza money. You're gonna like it. Trust me. It's gonna change your life. Let's my man Marla, love you, brother. Yo, my man Marla needs to come around me and be my damn hype man, bro. He make me feel good inside. All right, but let's answer John Suggs' question. Do you see the Knicks moving on from Velcro and another player and a draft pick for a player this offseason? They get they have tons of picks coming up. I call him Velcro because the ball just sticks in his hand and don't go nowhere else. It just stay there. It's almost like done.
Yeah.
Done. Yes, the answer is yes. They should have moved on from this offseason. Julius Randle is not a player to build around for a championship. They finally have the right people in the right positions when they signed Brunson. I like RJ Barrett. I like what they're doing in New York. They need to move on from Randle. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Panel?
It's the right thing because I'm like, the only issue I see with that New York Knicks team is, yes, obviously consistency, and they need a few more years to get it together. But Julius Randle is the obvious reason why. It's one of their obvious issues. He don't pass the ball. He don't do much. And then he was hurt. So it's like he don't show up when you need him. So it's like they should have been did that. But if they don't do it this offseason and it ruins their season, they'll definitely do it next offseason or try to do it in the middle of the offseason. But they should have already did this. So I don't see why they have to come up off of another player or a draft pick when they should have I would have just cut him because I'm like, I can't just stand looking at Julius Randle at this point anymore.
Yeah.
I got a couple comments that came through on the other page, so I want to read them out. I apologize, Chris West. You could throw something at me later. I'm sorry. He said he thinks Mitchell was the best value for $1. He also said, how about Team USA? No superstars in Team USA. 5-0 run in the preliminary games. They were down 15 to Germany, though, bro.
Yeah.
Anthony,
I don't want to give them any credit for winning these international games versus subpar talent. They should win these games. I'm sorry. But and then Jordan said, gotta go to Joe's. Gotta go to Joe's. He's talking to you, Jory. Gotta go to Joe's.
Okay.
Well, that's it. That's what we have for our show. That's cheap seats this week. Dylan, do you want to comment on the Knicks thing? I apologize.
I mean, my only thing is I don't know what team would want him. He'd probably be a team just looking to rebuild just to take his salary on like a final year. The Knicks should have moved him. I agreed with everyone what they said. It'd be smart to move him and try to get another piece, especially if this team falls short. A superstar might be something that they need. They should have moved on from Randle. Sucks that they didn't, but I don't know who would even want to trade for Randle.
I'm not touching that with a 6 feet long stick.
6 feet long stick?
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot long stick.
10-foot pole, Jory. 10-foot pole. I'm going to help get you up on these expressions.
Bro, you know what I meant.
6 foot long stick. I love it when Jory come on. She be saying, yo, you got to be paying attention. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. There you go. Just says it perfect. Goes smooth.
That's what I meant.
Not a 6 foot long stick. God damn.
Gotta leave it at that.
Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in this week to Cheap Seats Podcast. I normally would say look out for Big Time show, but he's off this week. He's sick. I hope Big Time feels better. Appreciate you tuning in to Sports Empire Network. You could have been anywhere in the world right now, but you chose to be here. Kyle Edwards, Wire to Wire Gene, Dylan Reed, and Jory Sports Stories. We are signing out.